Welcome all the participants to in this session, day 2 of lecture series come faculty development program, and our expert today is Dr. Vishal Mishra. So before inviting him for his talk, let me introduce Dr. Vishal Mishra. Dr. Vishal Mishra is assistant professor at School of Biochemical Engineering, IIT BHU, Varanasi. He did his PhD in 2012 on the topic biological removal of zinc from industrial effluents. And he has published around 56 research papers in reputed journals. Besides that, 26 book chapters, and he has 4 patents to his credits. And he has area of specialization. In case we talk about, he has got a specialization in rural development, engineering entrepreneurship, biomass energy, solid waste management, waste water treatment. These are the expertise, to name a few. And several awards are listed. In case we talk about awards, he is the recipient of National Indian Young Academy of Sciences, I should say, like Indian National Young Academy of Sciences, INSA, in 2023, and also has got membership of this organization. Besides that, he is a recipient of Young Scientist Award from CST, Uttar Pradesh, and he is a recipient of several fellowships. To name a few, I should list them according to the sequence. The first, he received award as in the Indian National Academy of Engineering Fellowship in 2016. And besides that, Summer Research Fellowship offered by 3 Science Academy of India in May 2014 and July 2014. Besides that, he is a recipient of Summer Research Fellowship in 2013 too. Today, we have invited Dr. Mishra to give his expert talk on publication ethics and misconduct. Besides that, he will also discuss about predatory publishing. So with this brief introduction, may I request Dr. Mishra to address our audience on the topic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Mala Trivedi and Dr. Manish, Professor Tiwari, and the audience for inviting me to present my idea on publication ethics. Today, before I start my talk, I have a submission to make that the publication and the ethics involved in the publication of the manuscripts, either in a refereed peer-reviewed journal or say a conference paper, it is completely individual-centric. It is the ethical behavior of an individual who will decide what he is going to publish in journals of high scientific repute or the conference of high scientific repute nationally or internationally. The data, the guidelines, or my ideas which I have discussed in this presentation is almost the rules which Government of India has made, various academic bodies had made over the predatory publishing, fake and fabricated data, and plagiarism, which is a very well-known term in the academic forgery field. So before starting this presentation, I have a point in my mind that whether the rules and guidelines are clear to an individual or not, it is completely immaterialistic. When we think about publishing a paper, a small paper, a short communication, a review article, or a conference proceeding, the ultimately pressure is from the peer review side. Everybody wants promotion, a good job. Everybody wants to become the editor in some big journals. These are some peer points which force a faculty member or a researcher, scientist towards some act of misconduct in the publishing some very good journals, some very good papers. It has been widely reported across the world that the manuscripts which have been published in very journals of high repute after a peer scientific review, tough scientific review, after publication they have been caught, after several months, several years they have been caught, it has been caught in the manuscripts that the data is completely fabricated. So it all comes on the individual, its responsibilities, and how we can conduct the ethical manner while writing a manuscript. There are several loopholes which an individual can use, can take advantage by publishing the manuscript. Later on, there are several points by which the peer reviewer, editor itself, the academic publishing body, the university system, institute system can also trap the individual. And that actually undermines the image of individual itself in the scientific community, as well it hurts the image of the institute. So I would like to share my screen now. My voice is clear?
Yes, sir, it is.
Oh, so
Yes, clear.
I've shared my screen. Is it clear to everybody?
Yes, visible.
Yes, yes.
So I'm just putting it in the PowerPoint mode. So the topic of today's presentation, discussion with the audience, with the faculty colleagues, scientists, and researchers of the MIT University, and of course the students, is the publication ethics, misconduct, and falsification, fabrication of, and plagiarism. These all words, when we talk about, it is all relevant to some committees, some guidelines which have been framed for the university system, for the lab system. But once we start publishing rapidly, we develop an idea that we are the master in the publication, and there is no point of saying that we are going to misconduct something. But there are the number of instances when one can feel that the number of experiments which we have done is not sufficient enough. We are not having the resources to conduct it, but still we want good publication. The data may not be satisfactory. The data may have a large number of error. All the data points cannot be shown. So what to do in that case? Each and every individual, what they will do, very easily they will omit those data points, those experimental reading, those experiments, those trend lines which are not in favor of the manuscript. This is the first point from where we begin doing the falsification or the fabrication of data. And there's a common practice among the researchers, which I have already faced several times while doing experiments. And once you try to reproduce the experiments just by reading the papers, you may not get the appropriate result, what has been mentioned in the manuscript. I'm not saying or not making any remark on any type of publication which is available on internet or in soft and hard copy. But in most of the cases, either the researcher hide those facts, they are well aware that they know how their IPR will be stolen and somebody else will go up for a patent. Or in other sense, these are my words, these are my actual thoughts about the plagiarism. Or in other words, a researcher would have done a lot number of experiments, but say only a fraction got successful. So he published only those data points by mentioning in the manuscript very clearly that the experiments were successful. We got a very good reading. The data was very highly fitting in the curve. And this is how a person can do the work. In a very latest trend of the research, and of course, my lab also adopted it due to the lockdown, that it is not possible to conduct a number of experiments. Lockdown means the lab were closed, only it were open for the faculty members. So what to do? Again, we are up to the data which has been given in the manuscripts. So we just cross-checked several manuscripts, say 1,000 manuscripts, to develop some machine learning techniques, how to adopt it. We use those machine learning techniques to find out that what is the credibility of this data. We got some very good manuscripts out of that, those data published. And ultimately, we defined the pathways for the researcher without doing any data fabrication. What has been published in those journals, we accumulated that data. We just summarized the data in the form of some systematic manner. We filtered the data as per our choice, and then we made some mathematical analysis of the data, say the machine learning tools we used to predict the pathways that a particular researcher can follow in a specific problem. Say the problem could be some harvesting of the biomass in an algal tank reactor. But that was not the fabrication of the data. We gave the pathway, and we also mentioned in the manuscripts that 80% can be suited upon. 80% is the model fitting, and that has to be, that will vary as per the choice of the researcher, the environmental conditions, the experimental demands, and there are a number of factors which will change the model behavior, model curve fitting, or the goodness of it. So before starting this presentation, again, I would like to encourage my colleagues to have a good questionnaire in between and at the end of this presentation, and feel free to discuss. This is a topic of discussion because most of the Indian universities or institutes, they are having a kind of impression outside that we do a lot number of manipulations in the data. So this is the way to stop it and to change the thinking of the foreign publishers. They have this kind of feeling. Several times I get the mail like we do not, there is no novelty in the data. What is novel in your experiment? And similar work they publish in their journal of the foreign origin. So with these words, I'm starting my presentation. And this is the next slide. What is the meaning of publication and the ethics involved in that? Publication, it means very easily that it means to disseminate the information and making it available to the general public. Now here we have two categories of journal. Who actually promotes the plagiarism? Who actually goes for the ethical misconduct? What are the points which actually provoke us to do that? So when we go for a publication, there are the two different routes. One is called as subscription model. That subscription model means those institutes or academic bodies, research bodies, which are paying funds, money, fees to the publisher, they will be only used, or they can only use the particular journal, particular facility of the publisher. Say Elsevier, John Wiley, Taylor Francis, they operate in both the models. One model is called as open access model, the first model in which author or university which is responsible for the authorship or the affiliation will pay the money to the publisher, and that's a handsome amount per paper, say 1 lakh, 1.5 lakhs per individual, or it also depends on the length of the paper. In that case, the paper will be widely open. It will be widely open to all the public without paying any fees to any individual, to any institute. You can download it from your personal internet. But in the subscription model, the editor or the publishing house will not charge any fee from you. But that will be only subscribed. It will be only subscribed to those places or those individuals, those bodies who have paid the fees, required fees. Say MIT University is paying 1.5 crores to Elsevier, so all the journals of Elsevier will be opening there. Or RTBHU is paying a fees to Wiley, all the journals of Wiley will be available there. No other individual other than their network can utilize those resources. So these are the two publication models. But on the name of publishing the open access, several predatory publications have come into the scene. Without going for any peer review or without going for any cross-check, any detailed analysis of the manuscript, they are only behind to get the funds and they publish voraciously. Some very good publishers are involved into it. I'm not naming anybody, any publisher, but it has come to the scene that without just a single peer review, they publish the manuscript. Usually the trend is 2, 3, 4 reviewers will come into the scene. They will be completely anonymous from different country. They do not know you. Your name will be hidden from the manuscript. Their names will not be disclosed. Then they judge the manuscript. This is the particular way a good journal follows. But in most of the cases of the open essays or less branded publishers, what they do, they only go for single peer review or single expert will judge. That too very small or very smooth review will be given to the author. Very easily you can refine or you can revise the manuscript. It will be easily published. But for that sake, you need to pay a huge fees to the publisher. So this is the easiest way an individual finds to publish the manuscript. Now there's a peer pressure of publishing the data, publishing the manuscripts to even get the degrees. Even in the system like IITs, all the IITs follow a single rule. 2 SCI papers are mandatory for the individuals to get it done, to get the degree. Minimum 2 is required. Sometimes it takes 2 years, simply 2 years, you get the manuscript. In the 3rd year, the degree will be awarded to you. Sometimes it may take 6 years, 7 years. There are the cases in my lab who have completed their PhD in 2.5 years by getting some very good publications. And they are the people who are working hard for the last 4 years, but still there are no papers. And we are waiting for the papers to come. This is actually a practical situation that may happen upon. That usually happens with any researcher. Even the MIT people will be facing the same kind of problem which we are facing. So now these publishers are very smart. They will drop you email. They will invite you to submit the article. They will write the lucrative words like a special issue. They will also request you to host the issue. to become an editor. But ultimately, target is to collect the money. There are the several publishers where nowadays I'm seeing in the lot of news are coming on the Google. They have been branded in the predatory list. There is a database long back. I came to know about that database. That database is called as Beall's list, BEALL''S, of predatory journals. This publisher revises, or this website revises for every 2 years, say 1 year, the list of publishers who are involved in publishing the fake journals, or those who are not SCI, Scopus, or not indexed anywhere, and without any peer review, they publish. Now, this list is very easily available on Google or internet. You just go on the link and check whether you are publishing is a right journal or not. When it comes to the ethical responsibility, it is actually the code of conduct that need to be followed to tell us what is right and what is wrong. And these are the moral principles one should adhere to. There are several points which actually come into the mind. Say I belong to biochemical engineering. Somebody may belong to medical sciences. Other may be from chemical engineering, mechanical engineering. Some may be from social sciences. So the responsibility comes more or less to everybody. Whatever I publish in my lab through my articles, they may get repeated by somebody else in the world. Many people put the request on ResearchGate, please share the article. That is a point of responsibility. But think the level of responsibility which a doctor or a medical science community is having. This is what we had a discussion last month in community medicine and IMS BHU, medical science BHU, that what about that responsibility? People are using the database to publish the manuscripts in the high impact factor, say Lancet, 265, Nature, 268. But there is no trustworthy source of that data. It is the data which a publisher or an author has shown in the manuscript that the particular medicine or drug has been given to such number of patients. This was the response, but nobody is there to check it. Then how it can be actually correct? And suppose a medicine or a drug is designed on that basis without going for any human trial, especially the Ayurvedic drugs.
Dr. Vishal, sorry to disturb you. Actually, you are on the first slide, right? Publication plus ethics, right?
Yes, I'm on the second slide. It is the second slide. After that, yes, I have not changed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
So these are just the points of discussion.
Okay. Sure. Go ahead. I thought this your
no. It's going on. So this was the point that in the medical sciences, how it can be assured. How an individual who is doing PhD, postdoc in India or in abroad is going to reproduce it. What is the trustworthy source of the data? There is no answer to it other than the ethical practice which is actually involved. A doctor has to be assured before writing the drug whether it will work or not. In most of the cases, we have the animal ethical community, say other ethical communities to just go for the paperwork and to get some the clearance from the ministry to start a project of the animal trial. But who is going to take the ethical responsibility of that? What are the principles behind it? And in case an individual is found intentionally involved into a plagiarism practice, how it can be dealt with? What are the repercussions, results of that? So the next slide is now phases of the publication. Is the slide change is there? Publication has two phases. Okay. Yes. So this is a flow chart. I've just tried to make a schematic presentation that what actually happens while we make a manuscript. What are the points where we get diverted from the attention of going for ethical practice to a little bit more, you can say, a manipulated practice and fabrication of the data. My words may be hard to somebody in the faculty community, but my only intention is to give my idea on that. So please do not mind in that way. A manipulation word has been used several times while an editor grabs a manuscript and it puts a watermark that this manuscript has been found and retracted, and the question and answer is there on the front page. So there before making this presentation, I just went through those remarks available on internet, which are retracted manuscripts in India and abroad, and what actually the answers were given by the authors. So now it has two phases. The preparation of the manuscript, which is actually led by the researchers. Now in India, we have a practice, very clear practice. Of course, in everywhere, we have a practice. If a paper is to be written, it must only be written by the student. A faculty member may have 2, 3, 4, half dozen, 1 dozen of PhD student, plus the academic responsibilities with them. and it is equally applicable in all the institutes operating in India, plus the administrative responsibility, of course. So in that case, it is not possible for every faculty member to guide every individual at every point of time. Say I want to have a promotion. So what I will do in the earlier phase of my career, I will be more enthusiastic towards my PhD students. I will motivate them. I will write myself the manuscripts, and I will write their thesis, and somehow they will get their degree so that I get promoted. But in the latter phase of my life, the things will be changed upon. I may become slow. I may become lethargic, sometimes very careless while evaluating the manuscripts, reading them. And then I have some certain set of rules. If the manuscript qualifies, I will be happy enough. Now, to overcome or to more marginalize the plagiarism, what we have done, we designed some softwares. Actually, those softwares, say Turnitin, cross-check or cross-reference, they all have been designed to catch the similarity in the text. But up to what level? They cannot diagnose any figure. They cannot tally the resemblance in any figure, any graph. So it can be taken upon easily. Second point, suppose I wrote 2 manuscripts of my own. The methodology is same, objective is same, but the material and methods are different. So of course the language will be same. Say for example, in one manuscript, I dealt with the removal of some iron, say chromium iron. In another manuscript, I dealt with the removal of arsenic or zinc from the wastewater. Both are the categories of metal. Only the metal is the different in both the manuscripts. Rest all the procedures are same. So that will come under the category of copy and paste. Somebody will write, it has a similarity text, but idea is completely same. The work is little bit different in the objective terms. The subject matter is different. That's all is the difference between them. So how to differentiate between actually a plagiarism and a plagiarism which actually originated because of the work? I got this kind of reply from a journal of high repute. I submitted 2 manuscripts in the same journal. The impact factor is around 7.9 something. And the editor wrote me a mail that both the manuscripts look identical. So he just clarified. So I asked him to give me a detailed report. He showed me a resemblance of around 46% in the complete manuscript. So I told him that the materials and methods are different and other philosophies are completely same. We have used the 2 different ions. System is little bit different. Their environmental conditions are different. He agreed, but he wrote me an email again. It is better you rewrite the particular phrases, some say 5-6 paragraphs, that will eliminate or decrease the percentage. This is the actual good practice. He wrote, finally he accepted our submission, humble submission, and then the manuscript was sent for review, and say in the passage of 3 months it was published. Same day both the papers got published. It got accepted by the editor, and there was no harm in that. But there are the cases which are in my knowledge that where the text has been directly copied. So now we have a licensed version of softwares like Turnitin. We do not have cross-reference here. So we have Turnitin. The Turnitin is having advantage that it can check the resemblance with the existing text which is available on literature or on any other source. On the other hand, it cannot check the resemblance with any Word document which is not present online. Even you give the input, there is no probability for that. It can only tally the results with the internet sources. So if I go for the other hand, that is the extreme right of the flow chart, it comes to that point. Submission of the manuscript, publishing the work by different journals. The different journal means the high category journals which come in the quartile, they have some scopus, quartile Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, all are eligible, equally good. And then they have some process to identify the plagiarism. In case they pass your manuscript to the editor-in-chief or associate editor followed by the reviewer. That means the plagiarism is almost nil because they use the facility of cross-reference. They can identify the same manuscript to, if you have submitted the 2 manuscripts in the same journal or in the same publisher, they can identify. That is why they have made the IDs like ORCID. ORCID ID has been made for this purpose only. What a person is doing in the scientific community, how many times he is communicating the manuscripts, what are the different journal databases he is using, all can be compiled together. It is almost like our Aadhaar number. It can compile all the information. Say, I communicated almost 6 manuscripts in Elsevier in 8 different journals. So it will show together that this person has communicated 6 manuscripts. These are the database. and how much is the resemblance between the two. This cannot be done by Turnitin. It can only be done by the cross-reference and cross-check. So the good publishers are using this software without any fees. They will check the content. Then in some cases, you may feel that the peer review is organized by the journal editor. In majority of the cases in a good journal, one reviewer is especially or exclusively the editor itself or the associate editor of that field. Other may be some anonymous person, it may be 2 or 3 in number or even more than that. That process is actually very time consuming because it's completely a voluntary service and they do not get paid. So it may take a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. Some journals even a year. Some journals are flexible enough, they are highly flexible while evaluating the manuscript, so they do not disturb the reviewer for 3 months especially. Others are a little bit stringent because there is a peer demand from the reviewer, from the author's side to publish the manuscript on time. So in timely publication means 1 month, 20 days, 21 days, that is the fixed time. Otherwise, the editor will start sending the reminders. Now, once the manuscript is accepted, neither the reviewer is bothered about nor the editor. Everything goes in the hand of producer or the production department. The production takes care of all the things. What they write in email, suppose they saw a figure, somehow they came to know that this figure has been taken from the other source, they will write you in very polite email, you please take the copyright and then get it published. That's all they have to do. But actually the sense of taking the copyright is before the publication starts. If you're not able to take the copyright from the publisher, most of the publishers, it is free, automatic. You drop a request, immediately you will get an email in your inbox that the copyright has been given to you. But in some of the cases, the publisher charges some amount of fee for that. If the funds are not available with any author, they can simply write and request email to the corresponding author of the manuscript. This is what we do actually sometimes, to ask for the permission that they do not have any problem in that. And that resolves all the problem. The corresponding author writes an email of consent to the corresponding author and a copy to the editor that he or she is not having any problem or there is no conflict of interest, and the figures, tables can be easily used. So this is actual a policy which has to be framed by the journals and followed by the journals. In fact, when I discuss these issues, a simple small thing also comes to my mind, that there are some unintentional plagiarism that actually happens. By mistake, it can happen. There are a few cases which are actually happened in front of my eyes in my department itself, in my previous employer or in this employer, that an individual who was completely unknown of the work just said yes to become the corresponding author. Later on, it was found that somebody else was also involved. His name was not given, or her name was given, but it was given in the section of acknowledgement, not in the list of the authors. So in that case, it's not a plagiarism kind of thing. If the name is already in the acknowledgement, you can request the editor to please add his or her name in the main line of the authorship on the front page of the manuscript. So what actually gives an idea to the editor that it's a small mistake which has happened. So there is a paper, small formality that every author of the manuscript will sign the form and it will be automatically published again. There's no harm in that. But using somebody else's work without his or her consent is actually not good. It's a kind of plagiarism, and for these kind of guidelines, the guidelines are very clear in UGC. IIT BHU or I believe IIT Kanpur, they do not have separate guideline. We also follow the guideline of UGC itself. Whatever is given, I believe that MET university or any other universities of central government, state government, or NITs, IITs, they all follow similar guideline. I believe that colleagues are well aware of that. I have only given a glimpses of those guidelines in the next part of the presentation. So this is the publication ethics and misconduct. These are the crucial aspects of maintaining the credibility in the academic and research communications or the community. The FFP practices are associated with the unethical behavior that have actually the detrimental effect on the integrity of the scientific process. I will not disclose the name again, but there is a well-known case which has happened in our country. You search on the Google that the more than 24 of the manuscripts published in very good journals, they have been retracted from a very prestigious system. And in fact, the similar kind of instance has happened in Lucknow. There are the manuscripts which are easily available on internet. They have been retracted from some CSIR lab, and that actually gives a detrimental effect. The scene came to this level. The editor, none of the editors of any reputed journal were ready to respond on the manuscripts in the next submission. Immediately there was a desk rejection. They started doing the desk rejection of the manuscripts. Once such kind of things happen, what to do? These are the actual aspects of plagiarism which is happening. For us, for all the ethical and scientific community, it is a very important aspect to understand. Publishing 1 manuscript a year, 2 manuscripts a year, 4 manuscripts will not harm you. But publishing 10 manuscripts a year with a fabricated data is definitely going to harm somebody. Someday the people will be in trouble. This lobby is so strong and people may be behind you. Now, the third point, which is also very important, is engaging in these practices can result in severe consequences for both the individuals and the research community as a whole. In fact, I am in the anti-plagiarism committee of my institute, and their senior faculty member told me that in other IIT, when the plagiarism issue was caught and 2 dozen manuscripts were actually retracted by the reviewers and the editor itself, the questionnaire was asked on the author, and the director of national level committee was formed over that case. And director was pressurized to say that please be polite while taking any action. That particular faculty member was denied for 6 months to face the classroom. The things level up to this level. There was a lot of turmoil in that IIT. For 6 to 8 months, the entire faculty member community faced this kind of situation that once they submit the manuscript, same day it was getting returned from any publisher. All the newspapers were covered with those headlines. Entire Google was filled up. In fact, the decision was taken in such a way that the promotional increments were stopped. That faculty member was debarred from the promotion for the next 3 years. Faculty member was also not given. There was a group of faculty member was also not given any fresh PhD or MTech student to guide. The things have to become their job. The director was forced to say in the national level committee, please be polite in taking the decision against the faculty members. They are working in a high scientific repute institution, and they have been selected to a rigorous interview process. That is how the job was saved. This completely malignized the image of the institute and the individual itself. The career is very long. Even after they're getting superannuated from the position, I know many people who are publishing very flourishly. They still guide the PhD students. They have a respect in the field of scientific community. It is only because of the honesty level they have done. All of us publish the papers, but none of us getting funded. We are not earning out of that. It's completely a service which actually gives us some kind of satisfaction while publishing. It goes lifelong you can do this work. So why to unnecessarily exploit our image in doing unethical practices? So now what actually happens is all about the publication ethics is crucial, and it depends upon the 5 factors: maintaining the trust, property, protecting the intellectual properties, respecting human and animal subjects, upholding the peer review process, ensuring the reproducibility of the experiments which have been done. I am very much bothered about reproducibility because my field is a little bit more experimental rather than theoretical or mathematical modeling. But trust is the first factor which a person has to have in the, you can say, the publications. The second, I done something, I performed some operations, I got some good results in the lab. How to protect it? There are different ways. You can go for the patent, but usually patents take 3 to 4 years to get it done. So one way is to publish the literature after filing the patents. Then there is a respect for the human and animal subjects. There are the ethical guidelines and the ethical committees in all the institutions of India, which actually govern that whether this manuscript or the work can be published with an ethical clearance or without an ethical clearance. And we have animal houses. We also write the projects on the ethical animal testing. But for that, we need to go for the animal behavior and animal ethics. Then we should always prefer those journals which are actually involved in peer reviewing process. They clearly mention that how much time it will take. It may vary upon 10, 15 days plus and minus, but the peer review should always be done. It is not almost all about the plagiarism or the copy paste or some fabrication of the data. Sometimes the reviewer points out that such an error which can never be pointed out by you. They have a different mindset. They have a different work conditions. And once they point out the error, that substantially improves the manuscript. Entire look, entire touch of the manuscript will be changed. You and your student will every time learn new things out of that. And this is what I have faced. I have faced the comments, say, of 20 pages, 25 pages, critical comments, 4 reviewers, 6 reviewers, 8 reviewers. Every time the reviewer changes 4 rounds of revision, 5 rounds of revision. But ultimately, the manuscript will be highly polished, starting from the language to the content. Their opinion, their words. Sometimes they are also very flexible. Say, I am not going to incorporate the particular comment. They will agree. But for that, I need to justify why I am not incorporating this comment. What are the shortcomings or what are the limitations I have? Sometimes I may have the experimental limitation. Sometimes the student may not be having such expertise. I may not be having such expertise. But we can give a small point of notion, a small soft comment that in the next manuscript, we will take care of these things. That is sufficient enough. Another thing is that, in fact, the editor has to assure that the manuscript should go to the anonymous reviewer, not to the reviewer which are known to me. Otherwise, again, the reviews will be completely biased. And this is what some good publishers do. In one of my manuscripts, I got the comment from the editor-in-chief. It is rank 1 in Word in the wastewater engineering. Its name is Water Research. He clearly wrote to me that I couldn't find any reviewer for your manuscript. So me and my associate editor reviewed the manuscript. And we have given the comments on that. We were very happy to see the comments. Finally, our manuscript came to revision rather than rejection, which happens actually in most of the cases. So after getting the revision, we revised the manuscript. There was a small comment on the unit of measurement. Whatever he said, we just incorporated it so that we can get the publication out of that. And we get that manuscript published. After a month, again, I got the comment on the manuscript from the reviewer side, from the editor side itself, that the unit which they have proposed was actually wrong. What I did was actually right. So he asked me to change the units again. Whatever he said, we did immediately. And within 7 days or 10 days, he accepted the manuscript. Almost it took 4 months to carry out the entire process of publication. So that is how you get the good reviewers. And their ideas, their level of thinking is so high that they asked us to conduct some more experiments in the daytime, sometimes in the night time, in the darkness, in the dark hours. And we were able to do so in the algal reactors. And that changed the manuscript. Ultimately, after publishing that manuscript, he gave us some more ideas over that. And finally, he invited my student to do a postdoc with him. So now that student has now shifted to US. So this is all about getting the good reviewers, getting a good feedback. It should always be taken in a positive way. What I encourage in this field is not to reject the manuscript, rather than asking the reviewer or suggesting the authors to improve the manuscript and to resubmit again. And this is now what good journals are following the policy. Just to decrease the pressure of publishing and pressure of rejection, they are writing to the authors again to improve the manuscripts with the help of the comments, to incorporate as far as possible, and they will be happy to revise and to reconsider their decisions. Then ensuring the reproducibility. I'm not saying to disclose all the IPR in the manuscript, but an individual, an author should give at least a minimum of the things which he can give in the manuscript so that the others can follow it. It is for the sake of citation, it is for the sake of publication, and it is for the sake of researchers. Once you are done with the experiments, everything is over for you. But it is now a property or now an asset for the others to utilize. So at least give the minimum details, hiding your IPR, minimum details which an individual can use for his or her experiments. This will not only help the researcher in the field to work upon, it will of course benefit you, the authors, in terms of the citations. The people will request more and more. Publishing a very tedious piece of work will not give you high citation. Rather than publishing the basic science, small experiments, simple experiments in the manuscripts will give you a high citation, because that will be copied, that can be done easily in any setup. in a very high economic condition, poor economic condition, a lab which is running with the average resources, they all can conduct the experiments. And this will give you popularity, that this group works in the basic science. And that will help you in the promotion, in the popularization and management of science in the scientific community. This is also a responsibility of a researcher. Next slide. Publication ethics is vital in the academic and research community for the following reasons. Trust and credibility, that is adhering to the ethical guideline, fosters the trust and ensures the reliability of the research findings. This is very important to understand. Once a group develops some kind of image, it becomes more difficult for the group, or a more important task for the group, same group, to go to protect the same image. Every time you have to conduct the experiments, the level of honesty, the level of work should be very strong. It should also be very juicy in type, and new findings has to be given. Second is intellectual property. As an author of several manuscripts, and of course you colleagues are authors of several manuscripts, it comes to our point, our goal to protect our IPR. It is our findings which we have actually created, which we have thought, my student has thought, my work has thought, my group has worked. So it should be protected in terms of publication. These are the fastest way to protect. Getting a monograph or getting a book published, getting a patent published and granted, then technology transfer, they all are time-consuming things. So the shortest way and the easiest and the honest way is to submit a patent. As soon as you get the patent number, say 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, you just submit the manuscript in some good fast publication journals like Elsevier or journal of your choice, and then get it published. This will protect your IPR completely. You have done the work, your employer has invested the money, all has the point to raise, and everything will be protected for them. Nobody can copy. Then research reproducibility. Suppose I did the experiment once and I got very good results. I was so happy. I wrote the manuscript, submitted, patent, everything I did. But what actually happened at last? In the second experimental trial, I failed. Third, maybe the average. Fourth, fifth, sixth, number of times I repeated the experiment. Every experiment may have the different result. So it is always better to record the average reading and to calculate the errors in every experiment or in the average of the experiments. That will give you the idea up to what level you are able to attain the novelty in the work. What is the reproducibility of the results? How much you can reproduce again and again. And this will make sure to the other researchers also that what is the error percentage or the deviation they can get. Most of the manuscripts are now preferred by good publishers which are having some statistical analysis. But again, I will show in the next presentation slides that there is a lacuna in that. So now peer review integrity, that is the ethical conduct in the peer review, maintains the quality and validity of research through the unbiased evaluation and confidentiality. Now, as a token of thanks, most of the journal publishers, they write that they will be given some waive off on the APC, article publishing charges. As a token of thanks, your name will be published in the last issue of the journal in the last year or in the last month of the year. And the name will be only published. It will not be published as what manuscripts you have reviewed. Only the name will be published. Same as Professor X of MIT University has reviewed for us. Professor Y from ITBHU has reviewed for us. There will be a list. Corresponding to that list, the manuscript number or name, the title of the manuscript will not be published. That is a good option. And then they will also give you a certificate online, which can be used to make strong your CV that in what publishers or in what journals you are working as reviewer, where you are editor-in-chief. Now, ethical practices safeguards the right and well-being of the participants in the human and animal subjects. Professional reputation. Once you are adhered to the guideline, of course, I accept that it will be a slow process. It may be time-taking. Say 5 years, 6 years, it usually takes to get speed in the research publications. This is what I have faced. 5 years is very easily gone away to develop the culture, to develop the work, and so on and so forth. To develop the idea of working, to develop a kind of group which I want always in my lab to work upon. But slowly you will develop a reputation in the market. in the scientific community that this is a professional group which works in the field of particular area, the scientific interest, and they are easily available to collaborate. But that's a time consuming process, and nobody is having time nowadays. Everybody wants the ready-made soup. And this is actually a point when an individual gets misguided in the publication ethics. Now, then we have to maintain the public interest, as all of us are working for the country, and this actually makes an impact on the reputation of country what we are publishing. So always ethical research and publishing maintain public confidence and findings influencing the policy decisions and shaping the perception of science. So actually there is a science field. There is a very crisp idea in this line. There is a field in the research is called as demonstration experiments. I also work in the field of demonstration experiments. They can be easily conducted in a lab. I have published few articles also. One is published in the journal Resonance. It is all about how the two different kinds of particles, say Alaya and Chana, they segregate when they are giving a force with a small number of force, a small amount of force. Or we develop some invisible ink that was published in the Journal of American Chemical Society. That invisible ink was actually derived from the lab waste which we throw. I believe that MIT University has a very strong biology background and biology departments, say biotechnology, microbiology. Every day they are manufacturing huge amount of, you can say, the algae, this broth, bacterial broth for the culture, for the growth. Once the experiments are completed, they throw upon. Every individual throws it after discarding. There are central principles which we follow. Before the discarding, it will be sterilized again and it will throw upon. We will throw the garbage. We'll dispose it off. But what we derived an invisible ink out of that. That waste experiment was very easy. I believe that those people have also joined here. So for their information, I'm telling, they can explain it to other colleagues. Though media which we make for the bacteria is having a high content of protein. Protein is made up of amino acids. These amino acids have fluorescent property in UV light. So we developed the ink out of that. No chemical reagent was used in this work. Whatever used media we had, we sterilized the media, we concentrated the media to the 1/4 of the volume. Then what we did, we just filled the media after cooling the media in the fountain pen and signed over the paper. And what actually happened? That sign, whatever we wrote on the paper was completely invisible, but it was actually visible in the UV light. So we published this article in the Journal of Chemical Education while educating the students of undergraduate background and postgraduate background that how the counterfeiting operations can be done. How you can catch easily a fake banknote, mark sheet, fake tickets, fake degree and certificates. This can easily be adopted. And it was accepted in the Journal of American Chemical Society. Say impact factor 4. Hardly it took around 15 days to conduct the experiments. So idea has to be very novel. The level of idea can be of undergraduate type. I also published the articles for the school students. Say segregation of granules, how the two types of granules actually separate upon. There are several videos on YouTube where it has been shown that the rice, in the heap of rice, they put a shank that we use in our house during some religious occasions, and it comes apparently on the top, the rice go below. What actually is happening? This is actually a particulate mechanics, and depending upon that, the government of India 2 times gave me the fellowship to conduct the research on that, and finally we did some patent on that, how the particles can segregate with a small force. And this actually helped us farmers. It has helped in the rural development. We designed segregators of high throughput, where the two types of the seeds, say the bhusi of the rice or the bran of the rice, bran of the wheat, can be easily separated from the wheat in a very small amount of force, very small motor size of capacity 1.5 watt. But we started these experiments on the demonstration level. Actually, we targeted to teach the basic concepts of mechanics to the school students. Ultimately, this idea developed, we can develop the equipments on that. We developed hoppers and segregators equally. Now they are already, the patent has been granted. We have done the technology transfer with the industrial partner. So this is all about, you can start while writing the manuscripts for the undergraduate students. Indian academies, all the 3 science academies present in India of the government of India, which one is in Allahabad, another is in New Delhi, third one is in IISc Bangalore. Bangalore, and one is INAE, which is situated in New Delhi again. They all encourage the people to write the science articles, science educating articles. For this, they have also started giving the memberships to the faculty members, to the scientists in INEA, in the name of INEA's NASI membership. But they all have the target to meet with the science popularization and science management. It is not at all always right or always consider to that I will write a very good manuscript that will be only published in Nature. My motivation should be so high. That doesn't work actually. In the practical situation, you can write the demonstration experiments for the undergraduate and postgraduate level. They can also be published with the good journals of high impact. They will encourage you to do so, and in return of that, some of the journals in India, they also give you some funds. Say 2,000 rupees they will give. Of course, it is very small, but the certificate is very large enough. They are all published by the bodies like INSA. One journal is Resonance, under the NASI also publishes it. Then you will have the very prestigious membership out of that. This is how the people promote the culture, the science, idea of science in the students. In the college going students, we write manuscripts for them also. It is not at all about that all my 50 manuscripts are dedicated to very high level of research. It is all about that how I have tried to promote science in the pastoral parts of India with the rural, artisans, villagers, working women, how they can generate employment out of that. Out of the time which they are spending in gossiping or enjoying here and there, they can also raise the funds out of that. How they can utilize the solid waste which is getting generated in their fields, starting from there, how a college student can participate, how it can become an entrepreneur. So all cumulatively, I have done the work on that. In addition to the wastewater treatment, solid waste management, because these are the need of the hours where we are meeting with the crisis of the water availability, especially in the regions like Chennai, where there is no water table existing right now anymore. So on and so forth. Next slide. Fabrication. This is the important term, and all of us are very much aware of that. What actually it is. It refers to the fabrication. It refers to the deliberation of creation or invention of false data, results, or information in context to research or scientific studies. That means whatever is getting lucrative to produce in any paper, if I want to drag the attention by making some very complex graphs of the editor, some giving images, say some characterization part, that will mimic the sense of originality in the manuscript. That is what is called as fabrication. Writing such a data, making such a data which fits to the problem of the concern, and I am well aware of that nobody is going to reproduce it. It cannot be reproduced without my consent. Say I just isolated some mutants, some bacteria, which is very easy nowadays. There are a number of bacterial sources which are available in nature. You isolate a bacteria, get it registered with your name in NCBI. Now you show what you want to show. You can show the results as per your choice. Nobody is going to just check whether this bacteria is performing, this microorganism is performing some functions or not. You can claim very easily. Get some characterization done. And that is what is the fabrication of the data. I will make such a curve that will show the 100% fitting in the model. Or not 100%, it will go to the 99%, 98%, 97%. So reviewer has to believe that my model is working. He has no other means other than conducting the experiments and asking for the sample from me only. He has to conduct that. He has to agree. There are two options with him. Nobody is bothered about to go for the experimentation again. So a reviewer will agree, yes, I can see the data, the curve is fitting, the model is perfectly fine, and manuscript is recommended for the publication in any good journal. So the next is examples of fabrication. It is inventing the data, that is creating the data points, experimental results or observations that did not actually occur. That means fabricating the simply data in the Excel sheet or in any Minitabs kind of software, and therein you can use easily these kind of things, and you can extrapolate the data to get a good curve. Then the falsifying the research instruments. This is also a very important tactic which the researchers are doing nowadays. They calibrate the instrument in such a way that they get the curve according to their choice. Or they can change the sample. Say a gas chromatograph, that can be calibrated easily. A FTIR can be calibrated easily. One of my colleague in some other institute, I will not disclose the name of the institute as well the name of the colleague. He was asked by the reviewer to give a spectrum. In the FTIR, FTIR is a technique to collect the data points. He was asked by a reviewer to get the spectrum of the wild strain. Wild strain means without any reaction. So what he did, he was unable to do that. He was unable to get any spectrum out of the wild strain. So he ultimately just put a water drop on the lens of the machine, water drop, and he dissolved some chemical compounds. He measured and he submitted to the journal. Later on, since I was the reviewer, somehow I came to know, I wrote the mail to the editor that this is not possible in case of bacteria. Editor was having no other option to reject the manuscript. Other than to reject the manuscript, he didn't raise any issue of plagiarism. Well, while he was well aware of that he has done such kind of thing, and he has only put a water drop mixed with some organic compounds to get the functional groups. It is not the bacteria, but he and including me, both of us were unable to predict that. Ultimately, the manuscript was rejected, and else it was published in another journal. It was reviewed by somebody else who raised the objection, and so on and so forth. This goes on. Now, making the reference of citations, including the fake references. That means, suppose you read a manuscript, the things have been not mentioned there, any X statement or Y statement, but it has been given in such a way, your name has been cited, neither you are bothered, nor the references, and it gets accepted very easily by the editor of the journal. Editor is also not going to check. Reviewer does not have time to check each and every reference, what he or she has written and whose reference has been cited. So that also creates a kind of plagiarism and fabrication of data. So they are the four important strategies which actually come under this category: inventing the data, falsifying the research instrument, fabricating statistical analysis, and making up the references and citations up to your choice. So what are the repercussions and the results of that? It undermines the scientific progress. Fabrication can lead to false conclusions and misguide the subsequent research efforts, hindering the scientific progress. This is actually a very important point to understand. You are, of course, wasting your time, your energy, and the resources available with you. And of course, and certainly you are also misguiding others, because somebody will use your result. That result may not be very appropriate. He may not replicate your experiments, and ultimately he or she has to suffer. So it is you who is showing a misguided path to others also. Next is damages the research integrity. Fabrication violates the core principles of honesty and integrity in research, eroding trust within the scientific community. So this is another important point. And third one is it threatens the public trust. The fabricated research findings can mislead the public, damage the confidence in science, have real world consequences if incorrect information is acted upon. So now there is another rule which can be easily followed by any individual to protect him or herself from any kind of action to be taken upon against him or her. What he or she can do, if there is a limitation of resources, limitation of time, they can go for the computational studies. They are the different number of techniques which nowadays are available for any scientific community, for any scientist, researcher, faculty member to use upon and to give a theoretical prediction of the data. This is actually not wrong. And you are predicting. Of course, you are free to write up to what level your prediction will work. In case you get a chance to validate your prediction, you go for some experiments. Both the kinds of manuscripts can be used, can be easily published without any kind of charge upon you, without any plagiarism inside the manuscripts. It can be easily published. You write simply that this all is theoretical prediction. We have arrived at these conclusions with the help of these data sets, which are easily available in the literature. Cite those data sets or those references clearly, and that will easily be accepted. This is how we worked in during the lockdown. But giving the fake data or a fabricated data that may misguide others, it may hinder the progress of other research institutes, and of course it will hinder the image of your institute. Even it will hinder the image of an individual also. Is not a good practice in the scientific community. Then comes what are actually the more legal complications. The fabrication and result in severe consequences for researchers, including loss of credibility, disciplinary actions, legal repercussions, and damage to the professional reputation. And this is the thing which we work upon very closely and throughout our life to get the respect in the society, being a professor, being a teacher, being a researcher, and everything goes away from that. Then it also wastes the resources. Several hours of work you will spend, say, in publishing the fake data, which you can spend in going for a good number of experiments, the real experiments. It is more difficult to fabricate the data rather than getting the data from the actual experiments. It actually requires a lot of funding, time, effort, a huge time loss will be there, and there will be no meaningful contribution in that. Then the retraction of the publication. This is a very serious thing, or rather I would like to say it is the most embarrassing thing which happens. Now, what actually is suggestive, this has been suggested by the COPE, that is the Committee on Publication Ethics, that retracted manuscripts can also be removed from the websites. But ultimately, it comes to the publisher what they want to do. And most of the branded publishers, they decided unanimously that they are not going to remove those manuscripts. They will be kept live on their database sets. And if you check, or if you put the keywords with somebody's name or with some action kind of thing, or if you just come across those manuscripts, you can easily say that there is a watermark put on that it is a category of retracted manuscript. What questions have been asked by the editor from the authors? The question will be marked on the front page, or it will be written on the front page. What answers were given by the authors before the retraction was initiated, which will also be written. You can find those answers on the manuscript. It is really embarrassing, most insulting thing in our community. And I believe if you just put the word retraction in Google with anybody's specific name, or institute name, or publisher's name, you can easily find lot number of manuscripts have been retracted in bunches. And as a matter of fact, they are also getting cited on the other hand, because they have published some critical facts. Everything has not been plagiarized. Images may have been fabricated. They would have fabricated the data, but the language or the results they have shown up from the others paper, they may be right. So they are also getting cited, but they have a watermark over them, the front page, which mentions that this manuscript is under the category of retraction, and these are the questions which are being asked from the authors by the editorial board. These are the answers which we got, after which the board decided to retract the manuscript. And this is actually very unhealthy practice for any institution. This lower down the credibility of the institute and the professional reputation of the individual and its organization. Now, other category of the plagiarism is falsification. Falsification in research refers to the act of manipulating or altering the existing data, results, or information to fit one agenda. That means you're already using a data set. You have a huge data set of say 1,000 papers, 2,000 papers. Nobody is going to cross-check it. The reviewers are sometimes very busy. Editor is also a very busy man. They are all big shots. They may be professors in very big university. They are doing this job for their university. So they are not going to read the 1,000 papers for your manuscript. Even 20 papers they cannot afford to read. So now, according to your choice, you manipulated the data. Here, the manipulation doesn't mean only that you will change the values. You may omit some unimportant values. According to you, those values are unimportant, or they are hindering in the curve fitting. They are hindering in your model. So you just removed without mentioning that some values have been removed. You remove the data, you change the data set according to your choice, and again you got a very good model out of that. Your objective was fulfilled, and the editor is also happy and to see such kind of fabulous results, highly excited, and ultimately the manuscript is published. Then comes some examples of falsification research can include the selective omission of the data, deliberately excluding certain data points or results that do not support the desired conclusions. Second point, the manipulation of experimental procedures, altering or modifying the experimental methods. Rather than modifying the experimental methods, since the experimental conditions are different in different labs, in different arena, in different avenues, institutes, or in the location of the earth, the condition may be different. So of course you are free to modify the experimental methods. other than the standard procedures. But for that, in that condition, you need to clearly mention that we have used the protocol of Mr. So and so with these modifications. It has to be clearly given in the section of materials and methods. It cannot be omitted upon. Then the statistical manipulation. This is very important. Statistical manipulation. We all understand that we have a good concept of research methodology, and then there are several number of techniques which are being taught in the terms of statistical manipulation or statistical analysis of the data which we are actually getting in the experiments. But on the same time, we are also being taught what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages of a specific group of techniques. So according to my data set, number of points, type of data, classification of data, I will select the technique which will show the least error in the experiments. Whether R square, T test, F test, P test, chi-square, sum of square errors, RMSE values, that all will be dependent which kind of data set I am using. And that is actually called as statistical manipulation. I am well aware of the statistical techniques. What technique will suit my data? I am going to use that technique in my manuscript or to show the results in my manuscript. And this is how, again, we are misguiding the people. There are several techniques which we usually teach in our UG courses or PG courses. And there's a course in our, I believe that MIT University also teaches in the undergraduate level called as enzyme engineering or enzyme technology. In the first 2-3 chapters, we just come across several techniques of making the graphs of enzyme activity. But those will say some kind of plots are there. But those plots, each and every plot has their own limitation that has been clearly given in the books. But just for giving the straight line curve to the model, a very good result representation, we prefer those charts. While knowing that this model will work only at the initial time of the reaction, it will not work at the end of the reaction. So what is the meaning of that kind of statistical technique? That is how the errors manipulate. The errors get magnified in the experiments. So as a good researcher, ethical practice is that show all the kinds of results which are possible in the manuscript, in the length of the manuscript, and clearly mention that these are the errors. Errors are always welcomed by the editors. They are happy to welcome the errors. They would like to see that you have made the errors. And those errors are actually the pathfinders for the other researchers. What experiments I did, I got these number of errors, which was actually very embarrassing. Again, I failed to do the experiments. Next in the round, I tried to slightly improve the things. And this is how the good journal publishes upon. They are well aware without error, you're not going to get any result out of that. So now, what are the consequences of the falsification? You have a compromised scientific validity. Falsification distorts the truth and compromises the scientific validity of the research findings. It can lead to the erroneous conclusions and misguide the future efforts. Now, erosion of trust. Falsification undermines the trustworthiness of the research, erodes the trust within the scientific community. It can damage the credibility of researchers and institutions involved therein. These are two separate points, but they are, of course, interlinked with each other. Your image and the image of your institute, they are having a similar kind of pattern with each individual who is studying there. And you need to care about these images very carefully. Once your image will get distorted in the scientific community that this particular group was found involved long back, the people will remember throughout. These things percolate from one generation to another generation, from one group to another group, from 1 year to another year. Many the researchers who will be far more junior to you, the things will percolate up to their level. They will not like to collaborate with you. Sometimes the editor will be hesitant upon to publish your manuscripts, even to deal with your manuscripts. And that will harm the image of your institute. Every institute is running behind to get NAC A++ grade, NAC A double grade, or whatever grades, best grades. How they can get? By getting some good publications. But doing such kind of acts for getting the grades is also not good. They will harm the image. Equally, the image of both the individuals will be harmed. The scientist or the faculty will be harmed. The researcher will be harmed. The institute will be harmed. Nobody is going to get gain. And now they are the statistical softwares who can check the data. In fact, they can extract the data from the graph. They have their kind of tools. If they get the suspicion, they can put a committee over there, and then there are a lot number of results you can get, negative results, and that will harm you. Then comes the misleading the scientific community. Falsified research can mislead other researchers, leading them down incorrect paths to or wasting the resources on unproductive endeavors. Harm to public perception. Falsification can have real world consequences if incorrect or manipulated research findings are acted upon. It can undermine the public trust in the science and affect the decision making processes. This has happened actually in majority of the practical cases in the state of retraction of the manuscripts. Your image is completely finished, your work is completely finished, you will not be allowed to submit, you will be blacklisted as an author, your institute will be blacklisted in the community. Clear cut, they will mention in the covering letter that for the few more years, for 3 years, 4 years, you have been banned completely from the publication in Wiley journals, in Elsevier journals, in the American Institute of Chemical Engineers, Mechanical Engineers, Civil Engineers. Any society will not entertain your paper, and that will be a troublesome situation. For 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, they will debar you, and that will actually make a decision. They will put on their blog, on their web page, homepage, very clearly that these institutions have been debarred from publication. By name, they will start recognizing you, and that will be a very traumatic situation, very embarrassing situation for as an individual. Where to go, where to publish? Then the legal and professional repercussions. Falsification violates the ethical standards and can result in consequences for researchers, including the loss of credibility, disciplinary actions, legal implications, and damage to the professional reputation. Waste of resources means it also includes the funding or the funding source, time, effort. It diverts the attention from the genuine research and hinders the scientific progress. These are some genuine points which I would like to raise here. That disciplinary action, if somebody is interested in learning what are the groups of the actions, they can go for the, you can say, there are some guidelines which are available on the UGC website against the plagiarism cases. What are the guidelines or the rules they follow for the faculty members? Now, retraction of publication. If the falsification is discovered, the research articles may need to be retracted, leading to a loss of publication credibility and potential harm to the reputation of the researchers involved. And this is actually very bad. It gives a very negative sense towards the scientific attitude of an individual. Then the maintaining research integrity and adhering to the ethical standards are essential to prevent falsification, preserve the credibility and trustworthiness of the research in the scientific community. Then comes the plagiarism. This is the background of our BHU. That plagiarism refers to the act of presenting someone else's work ideas or words as owns without proper attribution or acknowledgement. It is a serious ethical violation and undermines the research and academic integrity. Right? Here, the acknowledgement does not only include an individual, it can be an organization, a firm, a group of individuals. So if you are taking the work of some individual and you are not citing them or you are not acknowledging them, that comes to the category of plagiarism. Self-plagiarism are sometimes also there, but plagiarism is a major category in which the COPE comes into the scene. COPE means the Committee for Publication Ethics, and it is always there in the standard journals, and they have right to withdraw your paper, retract the manuscripts. Sometimes it could be, I also accept that sometimes it could be completely unintentional. I can see some questions are coming. I would like to answer them after the end of presentation. Now, what I was saying. Okay. Now, this plagiarism can be unintentional sometimes. Suppose there's a case happened with me also. We and the professor of IIT Bombay did some consultancy with some industry, some pharmaceutical industry. What actually happened? The CEO of that industry was kept in the loop throughout the process. We used to copy him. Ultimately, his target was fulfilled. Whatever the task was assigned to us, we did some experiments. We did some kind of modeling work. We gave the document to him, and he was very happy. Later on, we wrote an email to the CEO that we want to publish the paper, and we would also like to include you as an author of the manuscript on the same theme. He agreed upon. But he just simply said, there is no need of giving me the name. You both of you can publish together. I don't have any objection on that. Later on, he wrote to the publisher after publishing the manuscript that why I have been given the name in the acknowledgement, why I am not in the list of the authors. While we also wrote to the editor with the same email that we asked him, we also requested him, but he denied to come into the scene. Now he's asking, so we also again would like to request to add his name. Editor was very smart enough. Immediately, he just sent us a form to sign. All of us signed the form. His name was included in the list of the authors. And of course, it was removed from the list of the acknowledgement, from the acknowledgement section. So these kind of things may happen with any individual. You may be completely unaware when the second person how it will behave. But in most of the cases, at least you try to acknowledge. And in case you have directly taken the text, figures, tables, charts from a paper, from a book, directly give the attribution to them, acknowledge them, and try to get the copyright of them. That will solve the entire purpose. It's just a game of minute or two. You can take it very easily. It is completely available online. Now in IIT BHU, we have a guideline of plagiarism while submitting the thesis. Now my student published 1 manuscript, 2 manuscript, 3 manuscript, 4, 5, 6, n numbers. Whatever he published, he's going to incorporate into the thesis. Now that will again come under the category of self-plagiarism. It has already been published. We have transferred the copyrights to a publisher. How we are using it for the other copyright? So the easiest way is we take the copyright of the figures. We take the copyrights of the manuscripts. Whole manuscript can be copyrighted upon. We can take the copyrights easily. And they do not have any kind of reservation on that. They will allow you to take the copyright and to use it for the public purpose. So most of my students, first they publish in good journals, in textbooks as chapters, then they take the copyright, they use the same text in their thesis, it can easily be submitted without any kind of issue of plagiarism. So never try to leave the acknowledgement on any interface. That will protect your image. And of course, you try to fix the responsibility. There is a complete section in the manuscript where the editor asks an individual to write the contribution statement. Who has done what? A dozen of authors you cited in the manuscript. Individually, the corresponding author has to write in that column what Mr. X has done, what is the contribution of Mr. Y, what is the contribution of Z, A, B, C, and so on and so forth. That means you need to go for the acknowledgement of every person, and you need to also establish their role in writing the manuscript. Once the manuscript is being retracted, it will be, once it is caught in the plagiarism, who should be held accountable for that? Who has done that? So for that, they have designed a mechanism of acknowledging all the individuals, including the funding source, including your the employer as well. Who are the participants in the manuscript, authors? They should also be given the contribution. Who has done what? Who has written? Who has edited? It was whose idea? Who conducted the experiments? Who finally gave a look to the manuscript? All has to be given very clearly. And this is a very good practice. Now, types of plagiarism. One is the copying. This involves directly copying or pasting the text, data, or images from a source without citation or the quotation marks. Then the paraphrasing. This paraphrasing plagiarism occurs when someone rephrases or rewrites someone else's work without proper attribution. It involves using somebody else's idea or content and presenting it in the highly different form, but without giving the credit. Say, for example, I made some structure and I wrote that this structure looks like the pillar of some pillar, or like the wall of China. But who wrote about the wall of China, who made the wall of China should have been cited there. Acknowledgement never means that you are going to cite, or an author is going to cite at the end of the manuscript only, and I'm grateful to this person. No, it also means that you cite the appropriate reference. If I'm making a statement, especially in the section of introduction of the manuscript or in the results and discussion, I need to support the data. This will not only help you to avoid the plagiarism, it will also improve the quality of the manuscript. What they write is what the right is as to elaborate and to discuss more about the results. This will improve the discussion property, discussion characteristic. You cite as many as references you can cite. So ultimately, you're acknowledging them, you're giving the proper citations to them, as well you are improving the quality of your manuscript. More data, more citations inside the manuscript will also give a look to the editor that he or she has actually studied the content. He or she is having the knowledge of this field. He has read such number of papers, or she has read such number of papers, and now the quality of manuscript is really very good. This can be easily accepted. They will also not raise in
I think some network issue is there. I'm calling him.
No, I think so.
ethical violation.
Now, sir, audible. Now audible.
I believe
Yes.
that there was a call on my phone, so just
Yes. The thing was that your screen was freeze, so I
okay.
tried to come back. Yes.
Since when, madam?
Just a few seconds. Just for few
Okay.
seconds. Please continue, sir. Please continue.
Now, so I was on this screen where the plagiarism diminishes the originality and authenticity and the ethical violation. Of course, I was discussing about the violating the IPR rights of an individual and if not getting the proper attribution to them, so on and so forth. Sorry. So academic consequences, plagiarism can have severe academic repercussions, including the loss of grades, academic penalties, even expulsion from the educational institutions. It tarnishes the academic reputation of the individual involved. Then comes the legal consequences. The plagiarism can have the legal implications, particularly if copyrighted material is used without the permission. It may lead to lawsuits and financial liabilities. Then comes the self-plagiarism, involves reusing own previously published work without proper citation or acknowledgement. And of course, you can take the copyright here. It can occur when a researcher submits the same or similar work to the multiple publications, or when the part of previous publication are used without appropriate indication. So there is a simple line to write. It's a very small line to write in the manuscript that in our previous work, we have done this piece of research and we are continuing the next piece of research in the present current investigation. This is what we do. Suppose I isolated a bacterial species, a simple bacteria microorganism, but I will be using in the different ways. So every time I will write, I have isolated this bacteria, the details of this bacteria, this microorganism has been given in a separate manuscript published with this publisher. A reference number or the details will be cited, and again then I will do what number of experiments I have done again, and no new fresh experiments I am publishing in this manuscript. So this will couple both the things, and it will acknowledge my previous work also. That will of course include a kind of, this will also improve my citations, and there is no harm in that. Everybody wants citation nowadays. Everybody wants IH index, I index, I10 index. So it's underway to use your own research and to cite it properly. This will give an idea that already this work is already accepted by some publisher. So there is no harm in that. It has already been thoroughly checked and it has crossed several filters. So the information which has been given in the present manuscript is also trustworthy to work upon, to replicate, and to get published. Now, loss of public trust also happens in the, can undermine the public trust, lead to the skepticism about the research findings, affecting public perception and trust in the science. And to maintain the research and academic integrity, it is crucial to properly attribute and acknowledge sources, use proper citation methods, avoid any form of plagiarism, including the self-plagiarism. Institutions and journals enforce strict policies to detect and prevent plagiarism, ensuring the authenticity and credibility of the research. So that is why nowadays a software has been launched by Government of India, which is named as Shodh Ganga. It incorporates all kind of papers, manuscripts published by Indian researchers, as well the thesis. PhD thesis can also be found over that, just to avoid the plagiarism, copyright issue, IPR issue, which is nowadays very, you can say, a kind of viral kind of thing is happening in academic and research institutions. Then the implication of plagiarism on research and academic integrity, loss of originality, it leads to ethical violation, academic consequences, legal consequences, loss of trust, harm to careers and reputation, damage the research integrity. So these are the responsibilities which one has to do in regular research work. And if he or she fails to do so, or somehow they have done plagiarism, if it is unintentional, it has to be brought in the light of the committee honestly, and I believe that committee will make the justice without harming the authors. If it has been done intentional, then first, as an individual, I must say that the institute must reform it, try to revise as much as you can, try to get in alignment with the editor or the person who has raised the query, just to have a kind of you can say a kind of patch up with the things and assure him that his work will be again be cited properly. He will be given the name. You again make an alignment with the editor, request him to do the things, and things may be settled upon. If the level of plagiarism is very high, and of course, if I mention the values like 40%, 50%, 80%, then it becomes the liability of the institute to freeze some kind of punishment on the individual, which is clearly mentioned in the UGC guidelines. Because actually it's a kind of legal thing, and most of the things which are under the copyright protection, IPR issues or patents, they have to be taken care upon. So try to first do the good practices involved, try to avoid plagiarism, including the self-plagiarism practices, and finally, if you have done the plagiarism unintentionally, just say an apology to the person, and that will not harm you. At least it will protect you. Bring every fact to the light or in the view of the committee, in front of the committee. And if the plagiarism is intentional, it is of very high value. First, try to have the alignment with the editor. You just try to apologize the things, because once the rules will be acted upon you, that will harm your entire career. And if there is no way out, then the UGC guidelines or any other guideline which an institute follows has to be followed to protect the integrity of the institute, to protect the image of the institute. And in that case, the faculty member will be harmed, surely. And that has to be avoided. The institute has to support in that case. Then fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism. FFP, it stands for publication, fabrication, falsification, plagiarism, refers to 3 types of research. Misconduct that pose serious threat to research integrity. Fabrication means, again, it involves the creation or invention of false data, results, or information research. It includes making up of the data points, experimental observation, or results that did not actually occur. Falsification refers to the manipulation or alteration of existing data, results, or information to fit predetermined outcomes. That means you are well known affair of a mathematical model or theoretical model, social science model, societal model, and you are going to put data in such a way, or you are going to create a data in such a way that they specifically fit to a model. They give a high coefficients, low error values. That is actually a kind of falsification. Plagiarism, again, it is the act of presenting someone else's work, idea, words as owns without proper citation, attribution, acknowledgement. Say there are several synonyms of that. It includes copying text, paraphrasing without citation, or self-plagiarism by reusing one's own previously published work. Now, identifying and addressing FFP is crucial for maintaining the research integrity for several reasons. Upholding ethics, FFP violates ethical principles and standards of honesty, integrity, intellectual property rights. Identifying, addressing FFP ensure researchers adhere to ethical guidelines and maintain the highest standards of Misconduct. Ensuring the credibility. FFP undermines the credibility and trustworthiness of the research findings. By identifying and addressing the FFP, the research community can minimize confidence in the validity and reliability of the research outcomes. Preserving public trust. FFP has the potential to damage the public trust in the science and research. By addressing the FFP, the scientific community demonstrates a commitment to transparency, accountability, and the truth, thereby preserving the public trust and confidence. This is the most important factors which the FFP actually is has to be, for which the FFP has to be identified and it has to be addressed. Now, promoting the scientific progress, FFP hinders the scientific progress by providing false or misleading information. By identifying and addressing FFP, the scientific community can ensure that research efforts are focused on genuine findings, advancing knowledge, and driving the meaningful discoveries. Now, protecting researchers and institutions. FFP can have severe consequences for individual researchers and institutions. By identifying and addressing FFP, the researchers and institutions can protect their reputation, careers, and avoid legal and professional repercussions. So there should always be a committee on that who will make the decision. While saving the interest of the student, the committee should also feel, this is my opinion, about the interest of the individual. Now, identifying and addressing FFP requires the multifaceted approach, including the robust research integrity policies, ethical training education, effective peer review process, and the promotion of a culture that values integrity and responsible conduct. It is essential for researchers, institutions, and the scientific community as a whole to actively prevent, detect, and address FFP to uphold research integrity and maintain the public confidence in science. Safeguarding resources. FFP wastes valuable resources. This is the economical aspect, including funding, time, and effort. By addressing FFP, resources can be directed towards genuine, honest research endeavors, maximizing their impact and values. And once a group, an individual is trained to practice the honest and ethical guidelines of publishing, copywriting, trademarking, he or she is going to impact in the field of science. Of course, it will take some time, some energy. It will take a long span even, say 5-6 years. But the image which you will build will be strong and robust to get a number of awards, a number of citations, and more than 100,000 citations in a year. And that actually makes a sense to you. And once you get a good image in the scientific community, lot number of students will like to collaborate. They will come and they will try to discuss. Still, they will start writing. They want to do their research, postdoc, PhD with you. And that is how the group grows. Their image goes up in the scientific community. Now, the ethical standards, high quality scientific publication should always be preferred. The credit to the authors for their ideas should also be given. They should be encouraged by the editors itself for writing such good manuscripts. At last, when the manuscript is accepted, the authors are free to write some kind of motivational statements for the authors, and public trust should always be addressed in the scientific findings. Now, publication ethics, pre-agreed sequences of the authors, awareness of co-authors of content of publication, and there must be oral agreement of the authors. That actually also improves the kind of policy which we called as conflict of the interest. Approval and consent. Approval from the regulatory body should be taken. There should be institutional board, ethical committee, and inform the consent participants. Protection of identity and other details should also be covered in that, and there should be a registered clinical trial. Now, conflict of interest is like that declaration of financial or scientific interest influencing the findings. This is also an important aspect. Then there should be a plagiarism check. Evidence of any form of plagiarism, prior permission should be taken to reproduce any material, figure, tables, charts, so on and so forth, crediting the previous author for their work by proper referencing and in-text citation. This is very common practice. We all do that. Avoid simultaneous submissions to multiple journals. This is also a guideline when we submit that this manuscript or a piece of thereof has not been submitted to any other journal. Then there must not be the redundant publication or overlapping publications, duplicate publications, or by changing the language, some people publish it sometimes in English, then followed by in Chinese language, Russian language, but this is not a good practice. And then slicing of the work should also be avoided. Then the data accuracy should also be checked. Fabrication of data, falsification of data, selective reporting, or opportunistic kind of approach is also not good thing. Now, authorship criteria. Who should be given an authorship in the manuscript? The person who is involved in conception, design, data acquisition, statistical analysis, interpretation, writing, editing, correction. These all can be these all people or a person who has incorporated, who has given their contribution in these fields can be given authorship. It all depends solely upon the conflict on the interest, as well who is the originator of the idea, what is the opinion of the entire group, of course of the corresponding author who is the senior most in the manuscript, to decide who has done what, at what position they will stand in the manuscript, and whose name will go, who will not, who has not participated, how, whether or partially participated, they will be given authorship, or their names will be given in the acknowledgement section. 1 second. Now, publication ethics. It is the standard organization settings. So we have a committee. Every good journal has the committee on publication ethics known as COPE. Then we have Open Access Scholarly Publisher Association, OASPA. Then Directory of Open Access Journals, DOAJ, World Association of Medical Editors. So these all are the committees who are actually responsible, a little bit bothered about that how the transparency, how you can say the plagiarism can be avoided and transparency can be promoted in more scholarly publications. So just small on the COPE, an international forum of the editors, for editors and publishers of the peer-reviewed journals. It provides the code of conduct that defines publication ethics, advise editors on how to handle the cases of research and publication misconducts. Then the World Association of Medical Editors, WAME. It's a very well-known organization, a non-profit voluntary association of editors of peer-reviewed medical journals from countries throughout the world. This association is one of the most, could say, strongest association, stringent association, because the medical data, medical manuscripts, medicine-oriented manuscripts are having a huge impact on the society. So they need to cross-check every data. So that is why most of the publications which are actually coming into the high-impact journals, say the Journal of Cancer Biology, the Lancet, Nature, of the medical origin, they only produce on the data sets. They are not going to put any human trial values on that. They are not going to show any human trials, because that is a very difficult issue to address. So data set they always use to publish. Now, publication misconduct incorporates data fabrication, falsification, plagiarism in proposing, performing, or reviewing research, or in reporting the research results. So, causing factors. What are the actual factors which actually guide an individual towards plagiarism? Or what is the peer pressure? Why the individual feels like that? It is desire to see the voluminous curriculum vitae. That actually becomes an inspirational source for others. But actually it becomes a loss for us, for the individual who is actually involved in making its own curriculum vitae. Then promotion and academic advancements, desire of grant sanctioning, competition among the colleagues to prove the professional supremacy, to become guide, internal and external examiners in different university setups. And this is what actually happens. These are the guiding factors. These are some lucrative points where an individual has to be very cautious. While addressing these challenges in his or her career, one has to think what kind of CV we need. We need a CV with the retracted manuscripts, or we need a CV with less number of manuscripts, highly cited, honestly worked, hard worked with my group, with my students. That will give me a more ethical satisfaction across the life. Then types of publication misconduct. Plagiarism is one, gift authorship, ghost authorship, selective reporting, salami slicing, duplicate publication, fabrication, falsification, simultaneous multiple submissions, uniformed consent, non-disclosure of conflict of interest, breach of confidentiality. These are the points. Suppose editor is a good friend of mine. He called me over the phone. You suggest the reviewers for your manuscript. This is the breach of confidentiality. Ultimately, everything is under my control. I myself is the author, and I myself is controlling the reviewer. Editor is my friend, so as per my choice, he will publish the manuscript. Mr. X is my friend. Y is friend of the X, so I will give him the authorship. No, editor is a good friend of mine. He may reject my manuscript. I am not having very clear terms with him in terms of authorship. So I will add his name. That is a ghost authorship. Selective reporting. The data which is in favor to my research, that will be reported. The data which is against my research will not be reported. Selective work. Slicing. Only a piece of research I will show which is fitting to my model. Other pieces I will not show. That is slicing. Duplicate publications. Publishing the same data or a different version of the same data. Just changing the models is called as a duplicate publication. Fabrication, that is the fabrication of points, data, structure, figures. Falsification, creating those points. multiple submissions just to increase the probability of my publication. Ununiform consent. All the authors were not very comfortable with the subject, but somehow I managed the situation. Non-disclosure of conflict of interest. I'm not going to acknowledge the source. I'm not going to acknowledge all the individuals there. There is a conflict of interest that will be raised upon once the manuscript is published. And the breach of confidentiality. Everything is the control of the author. I'm well aware who is the reviewer, who is dealing with my manuscript, who is the dealing assistant, how to expedite the process of my publication. Everything is in my control. Though it has been kept confidential on the website of the journal, but it has been told to me by the editor of the journal itself, EIC, editor-in-chief, unofficially to me. So I can control whatever I want. So these are some references from where I have made this presentation. And with these words, I would like to conclude my talk. And also I would like to welcome the audience for the different kind of questions, which I can see in my chat box. But if they ask, it will be easy to respond them verbally rather than writing the text. Thank you to the faculty members, scientists, researchers, and of course the director of the institute, Professor Mala Trivedi, for inviting me for this talk and giving me an opportunity to present my idea. And I would like to invite my colleagues for the interaction now. Over to the industry.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra, for such a nice talk, presentation, and clarifying doubts of all the faculty members. Now, may I request Dr. Manish Dwivedi to take up question?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mishra. So it was nice talk. So here we have some of the questions. So let's take from first from question and answer box. So there's one question from Dr. Rahul Gupta, and he's asking, like, now reputed publishers like Elsevier are asking to pay the huge amount to publish in a Scopus, SCI or ISI indexing journals. Is there any governing body to curb this? Why the big institutions don't oppose these type of publishers also? Like
I just read that question also. The question is like reputed publishers are asking for the money, for some amount of huge payment. Actually, now there is a point of discussion over here. Whenever a good publisher offers you the publication, initially at the time of submission of the manuscript or at the time of publication, in case you have ticked the wrong option while submitting the manuscript, say the open access or gold open access, at the end, while your manuscript is accepted, you can change that option. There's another option called as subscription model. You tick that option, no fees will be charged. Even there is an option to tick whether you need the colored figures in the printout format or not. You do not want, All of us are capable enough to take the colored printout outside. So there is no requirement of printing hard copy in the colored format. You tick the option of subscription model. If your friend is in that system, he can just download the manuscript, he can mail it to you. Or since you are the author of the manuscript, 50 copies are being given free to you. And 50 times you can distribute it in the online system. So that is well aware. Now, taking a huge fees means what? Every publisher has to manage the business. They are all the publishing houses. So those individuals who can offer or who can support the publication fee, they are only welcome in that case. They can pay. Sometimes you just write a request to them. They can also waive off the fees. There's no harm in that. But getting publishing in those journals which are only the open access actually creates a doubt. There is no as such mechanism to curb them. But now what we have decided in the IIT system in central government, we will take the subscription as a whole. One country, one subscription. Once the government of India will pay a huge amount, it will be subscribed to almost all the central government institutes. There is no fixed liability of any particular institute. Elsewhere will charge a fixed amount, and that amount will be paid on the behalf of all the IITs. Every individual of that system can download the manuscripts, and all these journals will be subscribed. There is no essential marginalization that such number of papers will not be downloaded, such can be downloaded. Every paper can be downloaded easily. So this is one.
Okay.
Another thing is that if you want to publish in open access, there are several kinds of grants which are given by the central governments, or in the project there is separate head. You mentioned there that I want some money to publish. Some of the journals actually ask. They do not, they are good journals also, but some of the journals are very good, but they do not have any subscription model. And if a paper is accepted, first request the editor to decrease the fee, 50%, 60%, whatever you get discount. It all depends on the what you write and what he accepts, all in the mutual agreement. And then you can pay it from the project grant, but that is not an encouraging idea. The idea is you choose a subscription model, 50 copies you will get free. You preserve one copy, upload on the ResearchGate, and distribute it wherever you want. Please tell.
Oh, thanks. Another question from Mudra Singh. She's asking how to check whether any journal is fake one.
Is
fake one, like if there is any journal with
there is a website. I'm just typing in the comment, a questionnaire box, and I believe that this will help the people to how to write.
Is the question answer box? You can
yes, I just opened my box, but where to write it?
No, Mudra Singh, you can you can write a type answer.
Yes, she has wrote me, so yes, I'm writing there. Type an answer.
Yes.
Check the list. BRs.
Yes.
List of predatory journals.
Predatory journals. Yes, right.
And I believe that this will suffice the purpose. All the publishers who are enlisted or blacklisted or not SCI, Scopus or fake, not even UGC indexed, they all are listed in the predatory journal website. Regularly, this website gets revised.
Okay.
You just check the name of the publisher. All the journals getting published by that publisher will be listed there. They are the hyperlinks. This is what we use here.
Yes. Right. Thank you. So one question from Pooja Srivastav. She's asking, please tell us some tips to avoid plagiarism, particularly while writing a review on some popular topic. Turnitin even catches technical terms. You know, sometimes phrases and terms they also take. Yeah.
What I believe that first, to avoid any plagiarism, you just develop a habit of acknowledging the things. Go for the proper citations. More citations actually include the juice and the crisp in the manuscript. This is point number one. This will help you in publishing. This gives an idea. Try to culminate the facts together. Suppose you are writing a manuscript or a review paper. Of course, you are going to address, say, about 10, 50, 60, 80, 100 scientific papers, journal papers. So you club the information together of several papers, make a schematic diagram of your own, just showing the culminating total finding and your own idea into it. So, and just cite the references just below the figure that these references have been used to make these figures. The facts have been taken. The idea is completely mine, and you can propose the idea. So in this way, you are giving the proper citation in the manuscript, and on the other hand, you are just changing the data availability, data available in the manuscript. The representation is also changed. So that will actually help you in the predicting. And of course, writing in a review paper, when it becomes sketchy, when there are more number of figures and tables in that. Nobody is interested in going through the manuscripts, which are voluminous in nature. Huge amount of text is written. Actually, it becomes very boring to read, even for the reviewers. So make more tables and more figures. Extract the information from the manuscripts, club them together, make your own diagrams, and cite the references accordingly. That will improve.
Oh, I think he got disconnected. Hello, Dr. Vishal.
No,
Yeah.
and it will also help you to maintain, avoid the plagiarism.
Okay, Dr. Misha, we cannot hear you. I think there's some issue from your side, the network. Dr. Misha, I think
there is some
connectivity.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
yes.
can
Now.
hear you, but your
Voice
video is not.
So what I was saying, make
You're on mute now.
some internet issue.
I think yes, he is there, but
Yeah, we cannot hear you.
I think some network issue is there.
Dr. Misha, we cannot hear you. Maybe you need to reconnect or reconnect. Dr.
Can you hear?
Misha, no, Dr. Misha, we cannot hear you. I think.
Okay, I'm reconnecting again. Wait.
Yeah, please,
Yes,
please.
please.
Dr. Misha?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are audible. So please say something.
Am I visible also?
No, you are not visible, but you are audible.
But I can see my face on my screen itself. Camera is working this time. But
I
anyways,
think some network issue
I
is
cannot see the faces, other faces here. So my idea is, if you are writing a review article, make it more animated, more crispy and more juicy by incorporating tables.
Dr. Misha, again, I think your voice is not coming. We cannot hear your voice.
So you're not audible.
Now, am I?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So, there was a question on article, in the review articles. So my point is that make an article in such a way it becomes more crispier by incorporating tables and figures, not from the other sources directly. Make your own figures and tables. Take the idea and data from the other manuscripts and cite them appropriately in the manuscript. That will, of course, improve the quality of the manuscript, one, and it will offer you it will avoid any kind of plagiarism. So there will be no plagiarism at all.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Misha. So the question from our one of the panelists, from Professor Dr. Rajesh Tiwari sir. So he's asking, like, don't you think holding data or IPR for IPR purpose would promote salami slicing. Holding a data for IPR purpose would promote salami slicing. Dr. Mishra, can you hear me? Maybe if you can directly interact with him, so
yeah, of course. Yeah.
It would be
Dr. Mishra, am I audible to you?
I think
there's
he's muted.
Some connectivity issues there.
Yes, yes. He is muted now this time. Yes. Please unmute yourself, Dr. Mishra.
Please carry on with the question.
Yeah, Dr. Mishra, this is Dr. Rajesh Tiwari.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. So first of all, I congratulate you and thankful to you for such an elaborative presentation full of enthusiasm and energy, and you have cited your own example. That's great, and that connects the audience with your thought process. I have few points to discuss. The first that came into mind that as you mentioned that for IPR we can hold data. So we would like to understand that if we hold data and we publish in small fragments or in a form of more number of publication, don't you think it comes under the category of plagiarism, salami slicing?
Yeah, of course, of course. Actually, nowadays there is a pressure on publishing the more number of manuscripts. Right. And of course, sir, we need to also realize, as I work in an experimental system. Initially, I started my work with the experimental system. Now we are working in a mathematical modeling simulation kind of thing. In that case, what actually happens, it is not possible to do all the experiments in a very short span of time. Suppose I did 100 experiments, 80 are very successful. So I would like to first try to publish. So another point of publication is that my other interest, which will be catered by the institute, is first I will go for a patent filing. For 80 experiments, I derived some outcome and I just filed the patent. 20 days or say 3 weeks it takes to get a number, patent application number. Once that number is in my hand, then I will proceed toward publication. So doing all the experiments, 1000 number of experiments all together and then publishing actually takes time. And it is just a opinion from my side. Think from the side of the student who is actually bothered about a degree. He will be taking 1000 conducting experiments in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, but having no publication that span of time will lead to frustrate him. So of course he will like to publish the pieces of his work, which usually professor denies, but sometimes in pressure we prefer to go for the slicing of the work. Yeah. So, but in that case, for every slice will be connected to each other. Previous work I will show I have done this work, this piece of work previously. From here next time, thereafter I am continuing this manuscript.
So what we understand here that for a defined purpose, say for a IPR or for a defined purpose, we can hold the data and we can publish it. Otherwise, this practice should have been avoided.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Another point which I would like to discuss here is about the, you have mentioned one case wherein you collaborated with some industry.
Yes.
And you offered them first, you offered them for
authorship, then you denied.
And they have denied, and after that you have
they have
claimed that we should not be, we wanted his name as one of the authors. Now here one point, if he has not given any intellectual contribution in your paper, then how can he claim to be an author? Don't you think it is again a sort of gift authorship, plagiarism category?
I think the screen got freeze now.
Yeah,
I think
some
I'm
connecting issues.
Yes. Dr. Mishra, we can't hear you.
Dr. Mishra, maybe you need to reconnect again because we cannot hear you. Here we have some questions.
I think there is some serious internet issues there.
Yeah, I think from
And
from his side there is a internet issue. I think that's why he's disconnected.
though we can answer all the queries that were raised by the participants, but it would
Yeah,
be
but yes,
great if he answers. Otherwise, we can
exactly.
also attend those queries.
Yes, yes, sure, sure.
Let's wait for some time. If
Yeah,
the
yeah,
problem
maybe.
is fixed, then
Yeah, sure.
Dr. Manish, have you
Yeah.
got any website through which we can check the list of predatory journals?
I think what he was suggesting, like this BIALS, BIALS. So that
You share it with us so that we can
yeah, sure,
try
sure.
this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I will share with you that link. So I think that can provide whether it's predatory or it's good one.
Yeah, because most of the time we trapped into this, nexus of publishing in
Yes,
predatory journals.
We also we used to hear that once I got one notification from somewhere, like some of the journals from MDPI or some other publishers. They have they are they are going to keep under that category.
Certainly. One of the participants has asked for the website name. If you can put it in chat box.
Yeah, I'm just looking for that one here. Yes. So, I just send that
He is
link.
trying to log in, but due to some technical issue, he is unable to do so. So he's again trying through the link
Yeah,
that is provided through mail.
is there.
And okay, yes, now he has joined.
Yes,
Again.
yeah.
Yes.
Dr. Misha. I think,
Can we ask the supporting team to help?
Can you hear me?
सर इंटरनेट की प्रॉब्लम लग रही है
Achha,
सर.
okay.
Can you hear me?
yes,
Now
Mr.
you're audible.
Yeah, Dr. Misha.
Okay, then please ask the question quickly. I can finish so that I can finish on time now.
Okay. I think yes, Tiwari sir, you are asking something, right?
Yeah, Dr. Mishra, one small query from my side.
Yes, please.
I wanted to understand, is there any difference between misconduct and ethical issues? How to understand these two terms?
Again, I think.
I think he's again facing some network issue. Sir, you're not audible, Dr. Mishra. You're not audible. Sir, you're not audible.
myself, and also I'm on phone. You can say on the phone, I will answer. My phone is on. Yes, please. The question was, what was the question?
Just I wanted to understand, is there any difference between ethical, unethical issues and misconduct?
Actually, they are the synonymous terms. Ethical issues will include all the kinds of plagiarism, and the doing plagiarism is under the category of misconduct. So almost they are parallel terms, synonyms of each other.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for.
Okay. Dr. Mishra, there's some more questions. One question from Vivek, with Dr. Vivek Mathur. He's asking that some of the journals, sometimes they are in Scopus or SCI index, sometime, and suddenly they got invisible from that indexing. So is there any way of knowing for what duration a journal is registered with the Scopus or SCI? I'm just sorting the questions. Mishra, Dr. Mishra. No, I think he cannot hear us.
I can answer this question if he is not available.
This question is very genuine.
Yeah.
A few months before, I just got an email and also a message on the WhatsApp. These journals are not very good for the publication, from the point of publication ethics. And this has been actually addressed in the way of the points which has been given by some agencies. And that agency gave the point that there is no proper reviewing service. So it is better to avoid it. Once there is a claim, there is a negative gesture about some publisher, it must be avoided. It kills the interest of the authors. Of course, it's kind of demotivation in case you publish there and somebody has a doubt. Though the FDPI has given some explanation on that blog is available on the website of FDPI, but still it is not very trustworthy to publish in FDPI. And of course, FDPI charges very atrociously, and even without the fees, it comes around 80,000 to 90,000 for every manuscript. How to manage? So it is better to avoid it. From my point of view, I would like to discourage this kind of idea.
So in addition to what Dr. Mishra has already replied, Dr. Vivek Mathur, Dr. Vivek Mathur, in addition to what Dr. Mishra has clearly mentioned.
Yes, please. I'm repeating this question. The next question is how the preprints help in research publication.
Preprint is actually, madam, a kind of service which now it has started by several publishers, and that is open for commenting from all the sites. So in case you get a very good positive comment or an encouraging comment or very informative comment on your manuscript before editor issues you the official letter, that actually substantially improves the quality of your manuscript. So getting a preprint kind of review is not a bad idea, of course. That improves the quality of your manuscript. And it has to be taken very positively that somebody anonymously, without taking any contribution, any kind of credit from you, is ready to read your manuscript, point out the errors, and he or she is giving good ideas to improve it, and that substantially will alleviate your number of citations when the manuscript is accepted for publication. So in that case, preprint reviewing is always preferred, and I always pick the manuscript when I submit for publication.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. And this question was from Dr. Pankaj Goswami. Next question is from Dr. Garima Avasti. If invited for guest lecture, so one should accept or not? If the journal is having high publication charges, also if it is good journal, Scopus indexed.
Guest lecture, madam, or
guest editor?
I think it is guest editorship. I think she is asking about guest editorship. Yes.
If a journal is of very high repute, then they have the powers, or they have some specialized kind of, they have some special powers to remove the fees or to decrease the fees up to a very nominal level. In fact, this happens in conferences. So in case it is a paid, they are only average kind of journal it is,
2 p.m.
one must avoid it. It's completely different from person to person. If you want a kind of line in your CV, I am the guest editor of so many journals, so many publishers,
Yes.
You just see the paid journals or the issues of the paid journals, say fermentation in FDP, right? And only 4 papers each issue, 4 papers, 2 papers, even 1 paper they have published. So what is the meaning of this publication? So ultimately they are targeting the people who are having a good kind of reputation in the scientific community to collect the article and to earn the money for the publisher.
Okay.
So it becomes tedious for any intellectual to work like this.
Okay, so thank you, sir. The next question is from Dr. Prachi Shrivastava. She's asking why every time good journal asks for language editing, though paper is having good quality English.
There are 2 perspectives here. Either the editor itself is having such a kind of the language of them usually English.
Yes.
So what we consider as the right English for us may not be the right English for them. So at several points they may be right. And that practice which they follow to earn their money is only the point where they can challenge you, or where they can have some kind of earning out of you. From your pocket they can earn. So they have started some kind of research square like the agencies to edit the language. And by doing so, you need to pay them. But of course, once you convert the manuscript grammatically, they are the softwares which is freely available. Grammarly. Use those software. I don't know if it is free or not, but it is actually free in our
yes, it is free, I guess.
In our IT system.
Yes.
So use that software and
Yes.
you can write editor that we have already done a language check with the help of
Grammarly, etc.
from the English speaking person or from the English native
Yes.
or British origin. So there is no further requirement. And they easily accept it.
Yes, yes. So next question is from Pravi Mishra. The question is, please name reliable software to check plagiarism.
One is Teleton, which I am well aware of.
Yes.
I basically use it in the intranet system. It is easily available. Every faculty member is having the username and password. We upload our EdTech thesis, PhD thesis, papers to check the plagiarism. And this is the only software which is available in India. Other indigenous one is Shodh Ganga, where
Yes.
you can have some kind of resemblance or the percentage similarity you can calculate. But more better is Teleton. If your employer can hire or purchase the subscribed one, it will be very easily used by every faculty member. The task becomes easy to check the plagiarism.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next question is from Dr. Ashish Tiwari. He is asking, tell me how to find the non-paid journals and hybrid type of journals for publication in computer science and engineering.
I'm not aware of the computer science journals as it is not my field.
Yes.
Some of my friends publish in journals like IEEE, but what I believe, it is clearly mentioned on the homepage of the journal, whether they will charge money or not, what kind of publication model they follow. In fact, once individuals start submitting the manuscript, he or she can easily see the options on the web page for submission. How much is the fees, whether there is how much fees can be waived off, how they can publish in without fee in the paper, what are the special charges. Everything is clearly mentioned.
Yes,
so,
yes.
The concerned individual has to go through the guidelines of publication.
Yes, yes. Only few more questions, sir, if you allow. We have a few more questions. Do you have time to answer these questions?
Of course, madam, no issues, please.
Okay, okay. And now I would like to take question from Dr. Kaushal. He's asking, my basic question is, in the era of competitive world, all are competing for publication by giving his/her name without any contribution. In this way, the real researchers will suffer a lot. What could be the possible way to tackle this situation?
In that case, the corresponding author or the group leader has to clarify and talk to the person who has not contributed very clearly that we will not be giving you name anyhow.
Yes.
But as a matter of fact, madam, in a very practical situation, I am telling, and day before yesterday, somebody told me that he or she is working in that particular CSIR lab, and here the director will decide whether the paper will go for a publication or not. If you put his name, the paper will go for the publication of his choice in the journal. If not, they will put some remark and then the paper will be written back result to the authors. So it all depends on the situation. And if the author is like, all the authors have some conflict of interest over a particular name, they should write clearly. They have to make a judgment very clearly that the following names will go, the following names will not go. So that is how we deal. We deal in our system. That those who have contributed has to write very clearly in the author contribution statement, and else we will not give any name to them.
Thank you so much, sir, for your reply. And Dr. Ajay Pratap is asking, how can we stop and analyze use of AI or chat GPT generated data? Is there any mechanism available for it?
AI or chat GPT, it's actually AI and artificial neural networks I also work. They all make a predictory kind of model that has to be very clearly mentioned in the theoretical aspect of the manuscript that we have done the artificial neural network. Chat GPT till date I have not came across any kind of situation where the chat GPT has been used to write the manuscripts. This is the first time I am hearing, but since it's a very good question, I will also explore in all my manuscripts if they have done this kind of work.
So thank you, sir. And the last question is from Dr. Suparna Sarkar. She's asking, why do journals have different styles of referencing? Example, APA, IEEE, etc. Doesn't this waste the time of an author? Why can't the journal do it themselves and simply ask for the content? We have different softwares for that, isn't it? So please.
Yes, madam.
Yes.
Actually, the style of the journal is dependent upon what the editor or editorial board wants.
Yes.
So in the early days when I was doing my PhD, there was no way out, so I used some manual type of settings to go for the formatting. Actually, we call it as the formatting guidelines. Every journal is having the formatting guidelines. So there are two different ways which an individual can use. One, there is an option in some standard publishers to first submit the first draft of the manuscript, and the name of that option is My Manuscript, My Style. There is no, of course, any formatting guideline other than the manuscript should be complete. It should have a title, all the authors, their affiliation, abstract, introduction, material methods, result discussion, and conclusion, followed by the references. This is point number one. The other point is there are softwares which can easily, I'm not exactly able to remember the name of that software, which can easily align the name, the formatting. They can do the formatting automatically once you insert the references and the style which we want. They will do the formatting in such a way without wasting you. Automatically, you just insert the reference. I want these references at these locations. They will change the pattern of the reference in the reference list as well as inside the text. So this is the two ways. Either you choose the option My Manuscript, My Style. First manuscript draft can be of any style, any type of the things can be used. Or in another case, if the manuscript passes the first stage, then the editor may ask. It is always not mandatory that it will ask to have a formatted style. Their staff will do everything. Because I have done this in several of my manuscripts, I use the option My Manuscript, My Style in the first instance. Secondly, they never asked to format the manuscript. Only they gave me the comments. I rectified them, incorporated into my release or my work, submitted in the same style. They did everything on my behalf. They are editorial board of their whatever they are having facilities. So that question can be resolved easily. And in another case, you need to learn some software, how to utilize them. And just for 1 week, it will take to learn all the software who can do referencing in your manuscripts and on your book chapters, and it will suffice your purpose.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think we have covered almost all the questions, isn't it, Dr. Manish?
Yes, I think so, because there are some question in the chat box. So mostly we ask to put in a question and answer section. So I think they also shifted in a question and answer.
Yes.
I think we have covered most of the questions here.
Yes.
And if further, if anyone has any other questions, so we have more sessions later on, like in coming days, so they can raise the question that time.
Yes. Right. So now you can conclude, Dr. Manish.
Yeah. So now we are at the end of the second day of this FDP lecture series come faculty development program, and on behalf of organizing committee, Dr. Mishra, I present my heartfelt appreciation for your enlightening and thought-provoking significant concerns on publication ethics. Your description on various ethical issues resonated deeply with us, and we are grateful for the valuable insight you shared during your presentation, along with your even live examples. And furthermore, we deeply appreciate how you address various publication ethics, including like how misconduct or falsification, plagiarisms may affect the various aspects of the publication, including trustworthiness of the data, IPR, and respect to the animals and human subjects, peer review process, and all. So these are really very informative for us. And at the last, your talk not only provided us with the comprehensive understanding of publication ethics, but also inspired many of us to be more vigilant in uploading these, upholding these principles, what you have explained here, and our research work and scientific societies, basically. And we will try to keep all these principles in mind to during our research publication, and because they are very important to make scientific community trustworthy to the society, basically. And once again, thank you for sharing your expertise and knowledge on publication ethics, Dr. Mishra. This is our honor to have to hear you here, and also it was really very impressive for us to hear that you are involved in developing the invisible ink using used culture media, as well as separation of rice bran and many more things. Actually, these are the what you have mentioned, like these are the basic research, and I think these type of basic research may attract the attention of various school students, and then these school students may decide their further career in research and scientific research, basically. So it's really very important, and I think many of us are also working on this area to popularize the science among the new school students, basically. So thank you very much, Dr. Misa, and hope we will have sometime physical meetings, and we'll have more discussion in that time. At last but not the least, thank you. Yeah, Dr. Mishra, are you saying something?
No, please carry on. Please, I got that.
Yeah, thanks you, Dr. Mishra. So at the last but not at the least, thanks to all my fellow participants having the diversity of background, experiences, and perspectives for their active participation and interaction. You have raised really very nice questions here and concerns that they're really very interesting for us even. So that have cleared even various aspects of publication ethics to us. Thank you again. Thank you all. And we have another session tomorrow. And I request all the participants to please join the tomorrow session at using the same link. You don't need to register again, or don't need to wait for other ID or something. You have to use the same ID, and then you can log in at the same time around 10:45. So that's all from my side. Dr. Mishra, if you want to say something, so please.
I would like to thank to the MIT University authorities and the faculty colleagues over there for having the patience and for considering me to give this opportunity for presenting my idea over this critical issue of publishing. And I believe that my talk will benefit them. And please, they are requested to feel free if they want having further interaction on any topic of science outreach or for student purpose for their own research. My phone number, email address, everything has been given very openly on my web page. They can write me email, and as soon as possible, I will try to reply them up to my extent.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. With that, I think we should close this session. Thank you so much, sir, once again.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.